Hello and welcome to the next episode. This is our series which is all about this Lego room and of course my life. This is a room where if I breathe things will fall apart, let alone trying to move them, but we are starting to make some sort of progress, which is great. But before we go on to that, let's take you all the way back to the beginning. This was a room that was near enough done. The floor fell through, tables got stacked, loads of sets have been smashed, the floor's been replaced, the walls have been painted, the leaks have been fixed, and we are now slowly starting to get back on our feet. But it is a long, messy progress, or process, shall I say. And yes, the dreaded table fell through with all the Ninjago sets on. It's not like I like bitter about that or anything, but there is a lot to repair. But before we move on to what we're going to be doing in today's upload, we'll go all the way back to last week with what we actually finished. But before we do that, that is what that looks like at the top. I want everything to look as clean as that. As we come round and pan down, we have all of the different Marvel bits and pieces to have a look at, and we have a very good solid thing to start on with potentially the new Batman set. So I need your advice on that. But if we come over to this side, we actually placed the new Snow White set, which does look very nice there. That at some point either in this upload or in a future upload will be coming out. All of this will be base plated. We can put a nice path in on there and then we can just get all that neat and tidy. This is going to be our sort of mythical section as our walkway walking to the ride, which is going to be the haunted house. So all of this is going to be eventually one big theme park with individual sections. So superhero section, and we've got some other sections that we are going to introduce and try and get sorted in today's upload. So with lunch at the ready, which consists of a tube of Pringles and a Monster, we are good to go for the rest of the day. Now, we did sort of almost finish the upload with that set going in, and also this one as well, which I think looks nice. We've got the base plate down at the bottom. All of this is obviously all going to be tiled, and this is going to be sort of our space X-Men type Deadpool Wolverine-esque area. So this is all going to be a sort of our mutant section, which I think would look nice with that bit. Then we're going straight into the Batman section. Now, this is, well, you know when this is going to be uploaded. This has been filmed a week in advance, so whatever date you're watching this on, or whatever date the upload is, this is the Saturday before it, nice and simple. So all of you by now probably would have seen the brand new DC set that has come out, which is the beautiful Batman set. Now, I have a couple of Batman sets here, and I am a massive Batman fan. I much preferred the original DC stuff way back when to anything Marvel did. Marvel didn't really get going at all until either the Hulk / the first Iron Man, and then that actually kicked all of that stuff off. But until then, the trilogy for the Dark Knight and I was about to say the quadrilogy beforehand, but we don't really class the last film. Not so much the third film. The first two are fantastic. Third one, Val Kilmer. Getting sidetracked now, but yeah, I do enjoy a good bit of Batman. Now, what we were doing when this table smashed and I broke all of the Ninjago stuff, we were in the process, and this is what I said in the last upload, of putting all of these different bits and pieces in. So what we have done is we have put this across the back, and I do like the colour of that. I know it's the wrong colour, but I do like the blue against it actually. And then we have our own Gotham, and we have our own Easter egg for the cinema. However, this new set, if you have not seen it yet, is a massive mosaic piece. Now, I have done a big upload on that already, and it has every single Easter egg that you can possibly imagine, including this with its own little Ferris wheel, and it has Gotham PD, it has the cinema, and it has different bits and pieces like that. So, we're not going to be moving it today, but I'm getting it in this video early because I want your ideas with regards to if you think this will work. Because I want to build it as a live stream. I'm going to do a live build series. I think that would be quite nice to do because there's little different bits, panels, and there's lots of detail in it, and then I do a full unboxing video on it. Now, I do not want to change the top. I've made that quite clear because I think it just looks nice, and there's lots of different bits and pieces that we can do up there, and I do want to add the bridge, as you guys and girls following the channel will more than likely know. But the reason, again, why I'm talking about this is this set here. This is actually the museum piece, because we were going to be in the progress, or process, I'm getting those two words mixed up, I'm very tired. We're in the process of making a downtown Gotham, like a dirty Gotham city, mixed in, obviously, from the mutant, dirty Gotham, Avengers, Ghostbusters, easy enough. It all flows, it'll all have the correct colour for the tiles, correct minifigures, and so on and so forth. And it'll be a beautiful superhero land for our theme park. This new set has everything in. So, what do we do? How can we display it so we can see it just as clearly as that bat symbol? Because if we can display it just as clearly as that bat symbol and don't have anything hidden, it means we can do some nice different bits and pieces to it. Now, the plan has always been, we have a base plate here for a Avengers battle. We're going to do like a mini endgame battle and just get all the figures in there, and this will just be basically broken cars, mounted minifigures, and a big battle going on. And again, that will be added in either on the live, because you guys and girls like that kind of thing, or I'll just do it and update you as we go. So that, there's going to be a base plate in front of this wall, or this shape, the whole time. Now, this was made up to see what the size of this was going to go. Now, because I've got the Joker, and I think that looks nice, that is a perfect colour to the new set as well. So those two need to be close together, I think, if we're going to try and get this in the display. There is two options, so this is what I want to go through with you now. If we can try and get it into here, it frees up 3 different modulars to put somewhere else within the theme park, and one of those things will obviously be the corner unit, which can just be a 3D, 4D, 5D, 7D cinema, whatever it wants to be, and we can just have a little zigzag queue line, and it is what you have at all the Legoland parks, Universal, all that kind of stuff. You go in for a 20-minute, put your glasses on, jobs are good, and get back out and crack on. So that can just be pulled out and go wherever it wants to go. The police station itself, it's a nice looking set. Obviously that could be a bit more of an Easter egg. We could just bring the police station potentially closer to the bank, and we'll just have an Easter egg between the two. There's space here left for what is hopefully going to be the new X-Men mansion later on in the year, and the John Wick Hotel, which is a beautiful hotel, is going to go in that corner. So we have got to think of what we're going to do with 3 modulars. Plenty of tables for that, so that's fine. But staying on track at the moment, do I try and get the new Batman set behind there? So this gets brought forward ever so slightly, and the first half of that set goes behind that, so you see the display through that shape, and then the other half of that is then on display where the other 2 units are. I don't know. Now, the only other thing that we could try, and obviously this is when the set is in, is this set becomes an L shape. So this blue is where that piece is, so you can still see it on the corner. This bit is an L shape off the yellow wall, so this just means this bit will then move to basically the other side, and then going across the back wall will be the new set, because that new set is 3 full base plates wide, so it is absolutely massive. So in comparison, we have got, that is 1 base plate, 2 base plate. Outside of the police station is 3 base plates. So that is your 3 base plates. So this is 2 base plates big. So we have got options with regards to actually being able to fit the wing and the new set all across the back. And then that works like that. Or we put that as an L shape. There's not going to be that much to move, because this display is not going to be happening until, well, for a little while. But I just wanted to get your thoughts on that, because I think it would look really, really nice. And it frees up other modulars. Other thing goes on the puke wall, which is this beautiful wall back here. But will it make sense on the puke wall with all of that underneath it? I'm not too sure. It won't look right by itself, so which means you're going to need the Spidey one to go with it. So you could put the Spidey up top and then the other one underneath. But then at the same time, would the Spidey set look better behind the bridge against that blue wall, and everything all Spider-Man related across the top? And that is basically its own land within its own zone within the superhero land. Now, if we're doing that, that's what I want to try and do for the mutant section, and I want to try and get the Batman thing nailed. So that is something to consider and think about as you're watching this. Get in that comment section and let me know, how would you display yours if you wanted it? I'm not saying it's everybody's cup of tea, but what we were trying to do is exactly what that set has got. I didn't think it was going to be as detailed as that, and I'm glad it is, but it is also massive. It's got good height, and it has got good width/length. It's like I said, it's 3 base plates wide. The other option is it stands on top of this set, which means this would have to move completely, and I don't think that would work down here, and I don't really think it's going to work anywhere else, which is a little bit of a shame. The only way that would work is it got pulled away from the wall, and then I put something behind the bat symbol so you could actually see the bat symbol better with its own colour, but then you're going to lose a lot of space. So there's a lot to come from DC, and I'm really hoping we get the new car soon as well. That gets announced soon, because we were in the process of putting a car museum down here, or this is what the plan of attack is. So this is the space that we are going to start with to tidy up. That'll go obviously to a time lapse. I can bolt through that and we can get that bit done, then I can show you what we want to do. This spacecraft was placed over here, and then that has been replaced by this, which looks a lot better. This also needs a new home. This, we've got to figure out exactly what's going to be doing with that. I've got 3 tape measures for some reason at the ready, because I'm very, very eager. This table we know is going to be our building table until the Ninjago bits and pieces are fixed, and then we can figure out exactly what we're going to do with that. More than likely, I think this is just going to be the Ninjago section. Moving down to the next thing that we're going to be tidying up in today's upload is this. Now this, I have an idea for the Jurassic Park set. Now I did want to add in the Jurassic Park with the loop roller coaster, because I thought that loop roller coaster would be perfect for the Jurassic Park section. It's not going to fit with the roof height. However, came up with an idea of doing it as a log flume instead. So what I want to try and do is there's 2 sets I want to add to these gates. I'm going to bring the gates to the front, get everything else off this table, which we will be doing in today's upload, and then we can figure out exactly what space we've got to keep it super, super simple, put a load of Easter eggs from the Jurassic Park, and just have it as one table, and it's done. Easy as that, and we can just make up a nice little base plate like this. I'm going to need a couple of blue base plates, get some canoes, I think, and this could be what was going to be the Rivendell Rapids, because I do like that. So I get some of those in there, and I think that would work very, very well. And then that leads us on to this corner table, which I'm just going to tidy but leave for now, because I don't know if the Harry Potter is going to stay there. It works because you have got the mythical bit, and then technically you go underneath this, then you walk down Diagonal Alley, because I can just push this back, so you've got the T-junction basically there, so don't forget this is all going to get tiled, and then you can go into whatever this other half of the table is going to be. But if it's space for now, we're then living the dream. That then, once all of this is done, and all the tops are done, which is going to be a good amount of work for me, and however long it's going to take for you guys and girls to watch it, then we'll be ready for the Kallax, which will be the upload after this. There's a Kallax unit going to go underneath there, which is going to be good, fruity fun, because I need to get that in. I have had it ages. It's a 4 cube. So it's a 4 strip. This is an 8. We've got a 4 strip. Do we put the Star Wars on top and not put some of the shelving bits in the middle and have the new Star Wars ships in that, and we have like a Star Wars museum instead, which would then actually free up 2 tables? The only thing is that monstrosity needs to go somewhere. Or the other thing is we have some ships dangling off the ceiling, and there's a lot for the Star Wars we need to think about, because I think that's the only thing that would work underneath the table. Coming up to the last bit of the table, this then will have to be moved and rearranged, and I am thinking I am going to move this coaster today. This coaster is going to go across that back wall, ready for the loop coaster to go in here at some point, because as it stands right now, if I don't move anything else, that is the only place the loop roller coaster can go. Which means that will be where this upload will be finishing when that gets moved. And if I do move that, it means I can reach all of this and I can get all the display bits and pieces in from there. Now that is a ridiculous long waffle of what is to come. Now I just need to crack on and get it done. Right, a little bit of space has been made. Obviously, I've just moved it to there, so it's not really gone too far, but at least we've now got an area that we can actually play with. And what I will do as we go around, if I find some of these minifigures, this is what I said in the last video, like these, for example, they'll just be thrown over in the correct areas. We want to try and keep all the minifigures with the sets now, and then obviously have to get loads and loads of BAM minifigures to actually have within the theme park area itself. Now, I've put this here for the first ever time, and it actually works perfectly fine. It's stable as anything. That is solid. It's only clipped on by a pin in the middle. Obviously, I'm missing, the only thing I'm missing from this is the 2 pink flags, because they got knocked off. So it just needs 2 more of those on the black stick, which they will be in that box somewhere. And then I can just potentially keep that there. I was looking at, do I try and have it flying up the side of the Avengers Tower? Because there is a pinhole, like a Technic pinhole there. And I reckon you might be able to get it in on the central bit, because it has got a thing. Take this off gently. Come on. It has got a thing there, which I think it might sit on. So I don't know. What do we think? Do we think it looks all right on there, or do we think it would look quite nice just sort of at an angle flying up past the Avengers Tower? Because it's obviously a crossover superhero type section. But you guys and girls will have to let me know. But for now, this thing here can live up on here, so hopefully it'll just go straight back on. It wasn't just a fluke how I did it last time. Nope, there you go. It just sits on perfect. Yeah, so yeah, it's not a problem. You could stand a minifigure on there, but you won't want to put any weight on there. But I think that looks all right, so that can stay there for now because it's just been in the way. I was hoping to try and get underneath there, but it's just a little bit fiddly. And now with the news of this new set as well, it'd be quite nice to have that flying around and then just figuring out exactly what is what. Talking of things flying around, this. Now, we could potentially have this huge ship over the top of this and use it as like a canopy cover. So it kind of makes a ride indoors. And you just look up at the base of the spaceship, which could be feasible, but I would have to make some lengths. I'd have to make some different shafts, like we stood this one on, which is obviously well, to be honest, the green colour might work on that because it is supposed to be a mutant-esque area. And I might just be able to have that flying over, but I don't know how high I would have to have it to get it. I don't know if I have to go over the buildings or I can miss the buildings, because it is a big thing. And the minifigures from that are fantastic. It's a cool ship as well. And it works well with the sort of the crossover space hybrid type thing. But before I do that, I need to move a couple of these sets. So Ferris wheel does need a home. Now these pieces and this, we found all of these, or I'm in the process of refinding all of these. So what I do is all the theme park stuff can just be dumped on what potentially is going to be the theme park ride or amusement thrill seekers section. That's what we're after on the thrill seekers section, which makes sense because it's getting a bit difficult. So in my head, it makes sense doing. It makes sense doing that now. I've got all these minifigures here, and we have this. Now this always was the plan, was to have this not working and have the construction crew around it. I never on purpose added the seats. So I thought it would be quite nice to have it blocked off and then use some of the smaller cranes and Lego City sets for this. And they're yet to do those sets, but I've got some steamrollers, so it'd be quite nice to have like an under construction ride, like a new ride going in. So I think that'd be a bit eye-catching, so that would work. This thing here belongs to that, so we can start messing around with that. And then I will just put all of those minifigures in the bag, and I'll get those tape measures out of the way, and I'll get that out of the way, and then we'll have a little bit of a play of what we can do with that spaceship. So this should be fun. So if I place you down here, because I'm going to need both ends for this to start with. Two options, I guess. I actually physically attach it to the roller coaster track, so it's lower, like so, or obviously raised up a little bit higher, but we take off these bits here. Or I angle it in a way like so, where it's just, that doesn't really work too well. That does, ish. And I might be able to build up off the base plate and just, like I said, have this as a roof piece. But it is such a big set, so I don't want it to hide anything else. Now, with it being obviously the Lego movie and it have that being a big crossover within itself, you can get away with it being chased by the X-Men jet. And obviously this could just have, well, anybody in it. Could, we got three figures that we could put in that. Again, potentially it could just be a ride. We could just have a queue line going up to it, which again would potentially make sense. You could just have it as like a motion simulator, I guess. But it would have to be stacked because I don't want to eat it, you know, take up into too much room. But if we could make like a double-decker where you've got the roller coaster underneath and motion simulator on top, that's all of our space theming together. That's perfect for a mutant section. And then as fingers crossed we get a load of X-Men characters, we can then start putting it in. And obviously if we got a Sentinel like the size of the Giant Man or Ant-Man, which will be coming into this place sooner rather than later, I'm determined to build that this weekend and add that in this video, fingers crossed, so we can see exactly what that would look like in scale with regards to the Avengers Tower. If they did one of those here, we could have that basically about to punch maybe this. That wouldn't be a bad thing. So that could almost look like that's your ride. So you're in the motion simulator, couple of minifigures in there, looking at what potentially will be a big Sentinel if they ever make one. You know, I'm just clutching at straws in this, but you would imagine they would do, and I'm hoping it would be the size of Ant-Man / Giant Man. So I've just got to get this placed over the top of this roller coaster, I think, because this roller coaster is staying where it is, so it won't be too difficult to move. I am committing to this though, so it's going to be a bit of a fun one if it goes wrong. I need to grab some bricks, grab some rocket fuel, and then see if I can get it straight over the top. Before I start that monstrosity, that was what I was going on about. I've actually just found the box. So this is what I'm hoping they're going to do. Maybe it's a slightly bigger version, or maybe like the size of the Transformer, which is another thing that I've got to think of, because apparently Bumblebee is going to be a thing. So I need to get Prime at some point and then just have those basically having a battle within the city. That would be amazing. They just need to do some of the sort of Decepticons as well, and then we will be living the dream. So we will see what we can do with this right now, and if it's going to smash or not. But like I said, I'm hoping it will go just over the top. That way it frees that bit up. Then we'll carry on moving around. I think we'll, like I said, we'll finish on this bit last. And I'm hoping from after we've done this, it should be plain sailing for the Jurassic Park. Yes, I know it's the wrong colours, it's the only ones I had in there. Now, it kind of works. I think it needs to be a little bit higher, but at least I know I've got the spacing underneath the wings for it to fit. But more than likely, what I'm going to have to do is double them up on the back. Because obviously, as it starts to get taller and taller, it's probably not the most ideal scenario having it that thin. And for some reason, that side is a little bit wobbly. So I think, oh, I can see it, there's a cracked brick in there, which is because this is a very, very old Lego bricks in there. So I think if they were 4 studs wide instead of the 2, that would take the wobble out completely. And then obviously if I had that all in blue and grey as the stand, I think that would work quite nicely. Now, I haven't tested it. I don't think it will fit just yet, but it would be quite nice if we could still get the coaster through that gap and it was a little bit taller. And obviously, if it was a little bit taller, you'd then see the actual Jazz Club a little bit better. So I think that needs to be raised up, potentially a little bit higher. But then at the same time, it's probably there or thereabouts the right height for a canopy for a roof. If you think about it, so some of them are relatively close, so it just depends on well, I guess it just depends on how high it wants to go, and also how we're going to get to that area, because obviously what I can do is I've got spare ones of these, so little ticket booths. So for example, that goes at the bottom, and then we make a staircase up to the top. So either I have a spinning staircase or something, and it just reaches up at the top. But at least it's out the way and it's not taking up any more table room whatsoever. I will leave that like that. Let us know if you think I should have it any higher. I think it probably does need to be higher, to be honest. I think it needs to be probably about that high. That way you can see the buildings underneath, and then you've got the height on there. So I'm going to need to probably add maybe another 5 bricks on each side. But again, I've got to be careful. Got to be careful with that. I guess the other thing I could potentially do is just twist those round rather than putting them up that way. I should have probably spun them the other way, and it would have given it a bit more of a wider leg rather than like a narrow stilt. So I can do that quickly off camera. I'll put another 5 on, show you what that looks like, and then we'll carry on moving around to the Jurassic Park section. So that is a little bit higher. Yes, it's the wrong colour. I've got to figure out the staircase to it or something, but we can make that work, I think. So it's just adding that little bit of layer. I could go another one higher. We could do a triple decker, but I think it doesn't eat into anything. I can see everything just sort of still around there, and it's not eating into anything, and it's just as wobbly, spinning it the way around. So, plan of attack over this side. I need to start to create the Jurassic Park bit. So that's what we're going to do now. This table is just full of stuff, which I'll probably do either at the end of this video or at a different time, because it's just a box of minifigures, and we started to pile all of these on top of each other, and they all need to go in the correct sets. But we have got the bait shop we want to do something with. We've got the A-frame we want to do something with. We've got the big T-Rex and the Jurassic Park gates. We need to get them placed, and then I think they would look nice on this table. Getting them all placed, I'll clear the rest of the table off. There's Ninjago pieces on this table as well, which need to go in these boxes, because when that's smashed, went absolutely everywhere. And then we give us a good understanding of what space we've got left with regards to the other Jurassic Park sets that are out. Because obviously I just need the visitor centre, the tree, the car, the 4+ set, and the other one. I can't remember what the other one is. The other Jeep, I think. There's whatever. So the visitor centre is the biggest thing, which will fit in the middle. That's what I'm hoping. And then we can just have like a lazy river all the way around with a load of canoes. I think that would look quite smart. So I'll put you to a time lapse now, and then we can just attack that bit. Right, it's clear-ish. Now, if you did catch that on a time lapse, yes, the T-Rex leg fell off. Told you, everything I breathe on, it falls apart. But this is the size of its foot, so it is a big old thing. And obviously, all the toes and everything move, and it all opens up. Now, this big dinosaur came with those gates, and I would love to do it in a way of where the T-Rex was at the top of the slope coming down, because it is in all of the Universal theme parks. I don't have the time, patience or skill to do anything like that, and I definitely don't have the pieces either. So this theme park is very much a case of the odd custom bit, and then everything else is just whatever you can buy as an actual set. So I need to repair this, but before I do, I want to see, with regards to space-wise, what these gates look like at the front, and then I can do some repairs on this one. So if I put you just there looking at the eyeball, and then I'll move him, I can't move him out of the way, so I'll put you there so you can now see the gates. That'll be a little bit better. We want, that's part of that, they come away. You can see I am starting to run out of places to put these pieces now, so hopefully when it gets moved, it'll going into its correct place. That is what I am trying to do. Every time I move something, it actually goes to the table that it needs to go to. Now, missing the flag for that. This, I think, would look nice at the front. And obviously, maybe the new car. The car could go, or the Jeep, sorry. That could be right at the front, because I think I'm not going to get away with it being angled. But if we had it... Now, the only thing is with this, it's so delicate. Like, you go to push it, and the whole thing does come apart. So you've got to be so careful with these pieces, because see, it is a set that if you breathe on it, it does come apart. And I'm too violent with this kind of thing. I know I am, but it is what it is. So let's just get a nail in there and bring that round. So hopefully that should sit in the back corner, potentially. The A-frame will go in the other corner, and then we can have some space around it. So I need another battery because this battery is running out already, and I think I need 2 hands. So I've got to figure out where to put you, and I'll put you back into maybe a time lapse, but I don't really think I need to because it's just the A-frame cabin. So I'll get another battery, put the A-frame cabin in, and then I'll get the dinosaur repaired, and then we can have a play. So before I get round to fixing the T-Rex, it's going to happen. I have come up with an idea. Don't fall over, I know. So we have got a treehouse down in our unboxing area, which is doing nothing. It's the big chunky treehouse with the swing, which I think would look quite nice with the A-frame and the abandoned sort of cabin as a water raft thing, and it will give a little bit of height behind the gates. Now we have got a couple of, I'm trying to think what else we've got down there. We've got a couple of other sets down there which could potentially work well for the Star Wars thing, because we have got Yoda's hut, and that would look quite nice as a museum piece with the other ships, and that's a completely different upload for a different day, but that is something that I would like to do, and we have got quite a bit that I need to sort out with that Star Wars stuff. But we're focusing on this bit, and then we're working our way around. Warning you now, this might be quite a long upload, but it's just going to be following me over this week, I think. So gates are the gates. That's nice and simple. They're easy enough, and I have opened them up ever so slightly. Now, with the sets that are about, I have just had a very, very quick look. You've got 3 vehicles with the sets. One of them is the poop, which is a massive turd. There's a huge poop with that. Then we oh dear. Then we have got the sign, the twisty sign where he gets lost, and he's got the foam can, which is his car just there. Then you also have the car that is on the tour. Sorry, that is the poop one. I just want to say poop twice. Then you've got the other car that comes with something else. I'm trying to think what that is now. There's 5 sets, 3 cars with those sets. So does a car come with a tree? It must do. So a car must come with a tree, car comes with the poop, car comes with him. 2 of them, they're all different. One's soft top, one's hard top, and they're grey and red. The other one is the green traditional Jurassic Park one, which is for this actual track. So that's where that car can be used. And then we've got the visitor centre. Now I'm hoping the visitor centre would go straight behind here. So when you open it up, or I could have the gates open ever so slightly, you would see the visitor centre, or I could have the visitor centre angled just here. So technically, to get in the ride, you go the ride, and then I can, thinking it out loud, the visitor centre, kinda, is more of a restaurant at the Universal parks, and you get off the log flume going through their store, but instead of going into the visitor centre to eat, it could be a mix of an eat and getting off the ride back into the park. So you can go into the shop at the front or come back out, and because it's an open back, I'll be able to create the waterway round and a footpath coming out. So if I was to have the visitor centre angled, it means that we can have a path going all the way across here to the next section. And if you wanted to get into the visitor centre as a standalone store, you can do. And then everything behind those gates would be the ride, which would be all the vehicles, treehouse, A-frame, and the abandoned fishing store. Then the nice thing is with this, see, it's got all the eggs and everything still attached. That's always risky because it's not actually attached to anything. The minifigures can just sit on here. They can stand on there. You could have one of these on the swing. And with the visitor centre, you get a lot of minifigures. And then obviously you get these characters again with different prints on the other sets. And like I said, they are dropping in price. I found them far too expensive to pull the trigger on them originally, but they are dropping quite a bit. So when the visitor centre drops a little bit more, like I said, I'll just get them as one big wave. But I think the A-frame cabin could go at the back just there. Treehouse in the middle, because it'd be quite nice to have a little bit of height. And I think the treehouse might be slightly taller than the gates, so it would give us that nice sort of look. Obviously, what I will do, because these buildings are abandoned, I have got somewhere nearly 10 tiny baby dinos. So I picked them up from the magazines, I picked them up from the other sets. Some of the dinos came with the fist as an Easter egg because Chris Pratt played the people in Jurassic Park, so they put a load of them in there as well. They are somewhere, they're all in a bag somewhere, and I'm assuming they're going to be in this box, and there's just going to be a bag of like little Jurassic Park stuff, and we have got a little Jeep as well, so I can get the smaller dinos going. Like, for example, we could have a small dino sticking its head out the A-frame cabin while one of the characters is sat there, so it's just theming like an animatronics is what I'm trying to get at with that. But there are also lots of other older sets available with the more bigger plastic mold dinos. So I could just add a load of those in and some of the baby ones. I think we'll get away with it. So I don't really think it matters too much what we put in there, as long as it looks abandoned. And I'm pretty sure the A-frame cabin with a load of dinosaurs in it would look abandoned. Like having them on the roof, if we could get a flying one, that would be quite cool, because obviously you've got these bits and pieces on there, so that looked nice as a big animatronic. And then that just looks abandoned anyway. So I will get that in this corner now, and then we will see exactly how it looks. So option one is having it quite close to that, which I don't think works very well, but you can obviously see it through the gates, which looks nice. It is one of those that if I had more than one of these, it would be perfect, because it would be a mix of both films, because you'd have the accommodation from the remake where they were on top of the original film, which is obviously like the hotels, which the A-frame cabin can be used for. And then we've got the actual original sets from Jurassic Park. Not many people probably would have got that Easter egg, but that would have been pretty cool. So maybe, if that ever goes into a sale, it might be the first duplicate set I get just for that reference. But for now, I won't. Otherwise, I would have gone fishing store, A-frame, treehouse. That would look really nice. But I will go and grab the treehouse in a second and see where that treehouse would look better, because I think the treehouse is quite a funny shape. So with all the space and everything around it, I think we might give us a little bit of space there. Again, I guess what we could do, if we're going to have the visitor centre on the right hand side or the left hand side, we could put the treehouse on the opposite side to almost have it as like a wall, and then we just create its own enclosure. So maybe the treehouse doesn't go all the way in. Maybe it's just there for a bit of theming. But yeah, two A-frame cabins I think would look quite nice side by side as a bit of an Easter egg, or at least find something else that would work as a bit of more of a modern abandoned thing. But this over here, waffling on as I always do, this thing over on here, that would go there. That's fallen over. We didn't want that to happen. That's the giveaway purchase train, which, well, just keeps getting picked up and moved around until it finds its home. So that would go in that corner, and then put the treehouse in the middle, all the water in front of it and around it. This obviously is pushed back to probably there, so at least if I have to cut a base plate in half I can do, and then we've just got a walkway directly in front. And we've got to think of what we're going to do with the big T-Rex, because the big T-Rex might be in proportion with the treehouse, and the big T-Rex could be eating somebody that's hiding in the tree, because we like to have violent stuff within this display. So bit of blood and guts potentially could be a thing, because this T-Rex is absolutely massive. So what I will do is take you down to the unboxing area to double check the roof hasn't blown off, because I said that before, it's all fixed, it's all fine, and it's been pouring down. So let's hope that is the case. And then I've got to somehow bring the treehouse back up without breaking it, fix the T-Rex, see what that section looks like, and then we'll move on to the next zone. So here we are, and it is bone dry up at the top. So that makes a big old difference to what it used to be like. So at some point in the future of my life, I might actually get in here. I doubt that highly. I doubt that highly whatsoever. Now, I did bring some of the other sets down. So we have this that I need to look into. This needs to get built as well. Now, this is actually Man-Bat. Now, Man-Bat, funny enough, is the first character from the animated series, from the new set that will be coming out. Now, for some reason, they've used the Joker, which gets used in episode number 2. Everybody knows who the Joker is, but like me and Jay's Toy Collection always say, you always tend to watch the first episode of a series the most. So it would have been quite nice if they added in a couple more villains from that, and I'm hoping they add in that variation, or the animated variation of that, because that is a cool looking minifigure. I just don't think I need to use the helicopter. So this is new and sealed. I picked this up a while back. It doesn't look the biggest, and it does look good fun. Obviously you've got Nightwing in there as well, but we'll get to that at some point. Might be an Easter egg for something. We'll do a Batman day, I think. We're not here for Batman. We are here for this. Now this is the thing in question. I think it might work. It's got a good base. I don't think it's nowhere near as tall as the actual gates, but I think we can get that up and put that on and get that in. And then we'll see where we're at, I think. So there it is, right beside the T-Rex. Now there is potential that the T-Rex could be stood just like this. Look how big that thing is. And then we can get him chomping on somebody. So if there's a certain minifigure that we don't like, or a certain CMF or something, it can be nibbled on that. Now that is actually a good size compared to the gates. The gates is taller, so it works well. So we've got 4 big buildings. Visitor centre, which is obviously smaller, half decent size. Visitor centre thinks the right thing to do with regards to like the shops. So the gates might be off centre, but that doesn't really matter. But we have got multiple ways we can do it, because we've got the 3 different options at the back. I still think the treehouse potentially in the middle, just looking through, might be the better option. Obviously I've used the shrubbery over here for the A-frame, so we've got that up there which works, and then we've got that bit up there, and obviously we've got all the Snow White mixed in, so I think that does work very, very well. And like I said, the Flintstones isn't coming over onto this side now. We'll keep it all with the bigger bits and pieces, because it makes sense. It's all oversized, it's all overscaled, and it's exactly what the ride is like. I just need more of the large plastic dinosaurs, and I think that could work really nicely. And I think the T-Rex works nicely with a treehouse like that. It makes no sense, obviously, eating the branches because it's a meat eater, but having somebody down there, or its head down there, or maybe eating some lunch, that could work quite nicely. But then, do I have that on show? I have the gates angled, so that's what you see, and the visitor centre just goes behind, so it's actually part of the ride instead. Do I use the visitor centre as a shop, or do I use it as a part of theming? Because obviously, if you want to see this, you might not be able to when it's behind the gates. The only way it would work is if the treehouse went into that back corner, and then you'd be able to see it from the side. So I will have a little bit of a play, and then I'll give you a couple of different options with regards to what can be done. Yeah, until I've started to mess around, I don't know what's going to look the best. So this is what I've done. I mean, all I've done really is put the tree in the middle. Now the dino, as you could see, was huge. Now I have done that. So I don't know. Hopefully that's going through on the camera okay. So you can turn his head, you've got his eye looking at you, car drives through, the first thing you see is the big dino. Now don't forget, it's not a car ride, obviously the car's just there, it'll be a boat that's going round. So we can put that thing stood on a little bit of dirt, and then basically canoe all the way round. That dino could be a problem, because if the dino wasn't there, we could do other little bits and pieces. The only thing we could do is have that as escaped and still use it with a loop roller coaster on the other side. So we've got the ship on the one side. This is the loop coaster, which is what we said we've always should do with it. But having it on 2 separate tables, I don't think it will work too well. But the nice thing is, because all of these just happen to be the same sort of tan, I think it works out to be okay. Now once we've added in all the other little bits and pieces with regards to the 3 vehicles, the visitor centre and the little breakout, don't forget there's a 4+ set as well, so that comes with a quad bike. Have some of the figures on the roofs, we can have some dinos all in the trees, so I think that would look quite nice. I think it makes more sense having the tree there, because you can see it straight over the top and you can see little bits and pieces underneath, because there's not that much detail really at the bottom. So we could have all the detail from sort of like the tree house upwards, whereas we put the A-frame there, I think you're just going to lose it. And it'd be the same thing with that. So I think the tree itself is in the better place. But then at the same time, we could have the A-frame and the bait shop side by side on the one side to have it as a block off. And then we have all the other dino stuff on the other, making it out that they're going further and further in. So you go from abandoned bait shop, abandoned A-frame cabin, into the woods treehouse, and then you've got all of the Jurassic Park sets side by side. Now, the only thing I haven't tried is actually putting the dino forward, but I just don't think that will work. So as you can see, this thing honestly is so large. How it stands up as well as it does is a credit to the designer, but it is also absolutely massive because that tail now is hitting the back wall. That's how big this thing is. So if you want to take a bit of detail of just the length, it just keeps going and going and going, and that is with the tail bent. So if I could wrap the tail round the back of the treehouse maybe, to get that pushed back a little bit more, he might be having a go at the visitor centre. But obviously without the visitor centre, I can't really do that. But I don't know if I can, because obviously that does look, on the camera, hopefully that look quite nice. And also I want to take some photos and things with this, and obviously you've got his little T-Rex arms. So I do like this set quite a lot, but at the same time, it is a bit of a pain. And where I'm stood is also not the easiest because I've got the loft hatch behind me. But I think, oh, might be able to. Oh, it does bend. So we could maybe bring that forward. Wrap the tail, which we have done, round. Open up his toes so he doesn't fall over. Oh, that just happens to be there, so he might be the victim. There we go, and he's about to get chomped on. So it'd be that kind of thing. So that's how much the tail flexes around. And then we can have all the other dinos basically on the roof and broken out. So I guess what I'd have to potentially do is bring this, ooh, maybe I'll use 2 hands for that, bring that forward so the ride can actually go behind the treehouse. So it's basically through the gates, round the back of the treehouse, and then in front of the treehouse, and then back. It's just like a map. Because those vehicles aren't going to be well, they're not massive, are they? They're just a normal size Lego City vehicle. But if that visitor centre is too big, it's not going to fit there. But it's tidy enough. We've got options, and I think we might potentially move on, and it will be some sort of configuration of all 4. But again, in that comment section, let me know what you think. Let me know how to do it, because I could just have these gates completely shut. I will have to have a play when those sets arrive, but I think that should work out to be okay. Now, this just needs a little bit of tidying in the corner, and this fan, my biggest fan, see what I did there, needs to go somewhere. Now, obviously, it could be the power generator to the park, clutching the straws on that one, or we break a blade off and have it on fire and add it into the Jurassic Park display, because they have the power problems. And then the Easter egg would be this one. Now, if you know, you know with regards to that, but there's a certain individual that goes off to, oh, he's on the floor now, goes off to sort out the power breakers, which are a little bit further on. So potentially that could just come to the front just here, or even here. You've got the little outbuilding and the little out hut, and I could just potentially break one of the blades off. If it will fit on the corner of this table, I can keep the blade on, and instead of it being a electrical power grid, it's just a wind power grid. Again, it's just an Easter egg to the film. And to be fair, it's actually the first time that set makes sense. You've got the greenery underneath it, you've got the outbuilding, we can have some minifigures there, and there is a seating area for a calf, if need be. So, building on that side, visitor centre on that side, water around it with all the other cars and vehicles. Job might be a good one. But will that? I just don't know if it'll fit. I don't know if it will fit, because if it does, I think we could have, well, maybe both, or if not all three of these guys in there, potentially. So I don't know what comes with the visitor centre with regards to an Easter egg. So if we just push these back ever so slightly and get these moved out of the way. Where's the plexiglass? There's the plexiglass. I need to move the fresh vehicle, the Ferrari. And, well, not too sure where that came off. Standard. I think it's off the dinosaur, but I can't see it. Right, this is where it just sticks to the roof. Because again, with this, we could use the height. Is it the pterodactyls? We've got all the different flying dinos. So that we could have an army of those up top. And don't forget, there's the famous power grid scene with the kids as well. So we could potentially do a different variation of that, where they're climbing up this rather than holding on. Well, there. It fits. And it obviously doesn't spin, but I don't have to break a blade off. So we could use the base of this, as you can see, walking through the front, and it's already tiled. So there is actual potential to be able to do something with this. I don't think we'll get away, well, we might be able to get away with the car. If we had the car side on, just as a little bit of theming, take some wheels off. We could add a little bit of red into that water. Maybe. I think out of everything there, the fan makes the most sense with what it represents. Not necessarily because it's a fan, but we either have the kids climbing up it trying to escape, or we have 1, 2, 3 of those minifigures, maybe 2 on the bench, 1 sat on the chair, and that could be their office. I have a think, but it doesn't look too bad from further afield as well. Kind of gives it that mountain-esque. Actually works as a bit of theming, to be honest, rather than it looking like a massive fan. So I'm happy with that. I know there'd be a certain individual that won't be, but I think even Jay might have to agree that it's probably the best it's looked with regards to what we're trying to do with it. And of course, we will move these minifigures and we'll take all the blood and guts up that we did for, I think we did for some Marvel thing. Look, say we chopped his head off with Wolverine. We've got Thor up there. We'll take all these off. We'll put the little dinos, but either going up on the blades, but then we've got all of this as well. So we could have dinos running at the back here. It's all raptors, isn't it? That's from the original Jurassic Park. Might have to rewatch the original remake, because they have a lot of different dinos in there as well, because they have more buildings in. But I know you can get those dinos from them. It makes sense it being on the left-hand side, because it keeps it clear away from what's on the right-hand side. I can't go any further back than that, so it has to go there. So that goes there, visitor centre goes there. Potentially, A-frame cabin comes out. Because the A-frame cabin and the actual, the two that we started with, if that one came out and that one came out, it would, these three, this one and the tree, does go together. So it's just finding a new place, a new home and a place for that. So clutching at straws with regard to theming for the A-frame cabin and the bait shop, but I like the power grid of what we can do down at the bottom, how we can actually tile, because obviously we'll tile all of this exactly the same across the front, so a little match. And then I think we'll just add some of those minifigures in there, and then we can recreate one of 2 opportunities for the different scenes, I think, for that. So yes, I like that. Visitor centre in that corner I think would look great. That T-Rex makes sense it being there. I just don't know. Yeah, we'll keep all the vehicle, we'll keep it as it is, and then worst case I just pull out 1 or 2 of those other sets. But like I said, it's just going to be a load of canoes going around, and it's just going to be a load of dinosaurs breaking out of everything. Yeah. All right, fair enough. So that is the last look at that. Again, I'm clutching at straws on this one because I haven't got any of the sets, but I like the tree with that, and I think that as a 3 looks smart. But I think we do need another big building in the corner. Maybe there. That I know that's going to get lost. I know the cabin's going to get lost there, so it will just be tucked away. So the cabin's just a little bit of theming. Maybe I put the bait shop there instead because it's a little bit higher, and then put the A-frame cabin on the other side. But I'll wait until we've actually got the other sets. So now I need to think where we're going to be moving on to next, because this potentially, like I said, is just going to be the castle stuff. That just needs a little pick up and a tidy, and then that's that. And then obviously we're going to tile all of this with a base plate, so that's going to look smart and that look good. And I'm really liking how this looks. So when these base plates go down, I think they would look fantastic. This table needs a good tidy, which I'm not going to bore you with even with a time lapse, I don't think, because I have to move every single one of these things off and get it into a storage container, and I haven't got a storage container. I think that's what I need now. I think I need another plastic Who'd What's It, which will go underneath this table, ready for the Kallax installation. So that means we'll be moving over to the Star Wars bit, and I need to sort of have a bit of a think on that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end it up here for today, I think, and then I'll come back up here either tomorrow or later on in the week, where we'll carry on with those 3 tables. And yes, I nearly did just fall down the loft latches. So I'm really happy with how this looks, and hopefully we can keep this going as we move round onto these tables just here. Now I can't really start with Star Wars stuff because I am still undecided what I am going to do with that, because if it is going to go around the Kallax as my Kallax display and it frees these tables up, it means then potentially I can expand some different bits and pieces there. Doesn't necessarily have to happen, but there is an opportunity now for that to happen, and I just don't know what to do with them, because I do like the new ships, and if that is going to be a thing that they're going to do moving forward with more and more of those, I think that's what I would be collecting, rather than the sort of the play sets as such, the ones that you dangle from the ceiling. I like the fact that they're on the stand, and I like the fact I can do a walk around museum, because that's something I have said for a long time I would like to do. But what I need to do before I now start moving any of these much larger sets is I need to put you back on a time lapse, because I have to move each one of these minifigures and put these back in its correct set. So I've got to go from here over to there, forward and backwards, so I'm going to make you nice and dizzy. Once they're back, and because there's loads of them everywhere, look, I've done quite a lot with these minifigures. Once this has been tidied up ever so slightly, I think what I'll do is I will wrap this up, because I'm starting to run out of batteries and it's getting really cold in here this evening. So I think I'll probably call it quits once I've moved these. If not, I'll call it quits now and then just come back up tomorrow. And then once these are done, I think we'll move that red coaster around. That goes across the back. Oh, I might do that tonight and then think about it and then move it back tomorrow if it doesn't look very good. That then leaves that L to do, and then it means that table to do. And yes, that does look stupid with the colours, but I think, again, if I can get that in clear, or maybe just get the blue, if I can get it in matching blue and grey, I don't think that would look too bad there, because we've also got the hoopty up on probably the wrong colours, as well as the X-Men thing, but at least this sort of shape is starting to come together. Got the hiccups. Coming around into this ship, you've got both of the rockets, Baby Rocket, Big Rocket. They're both 2 good looking minifigures, so that's pretty cool. So they will have to get sorted as well. And then I've got to figure out what I'm going to do with the Hulkbuster. I've got to figure out what I'm going to do with this thing. I'm going to try and get this built at some point. Maybe this upload. If not, it might be in the Kallax disaster upload, because as I'm swearing to myself about the Kallax, at least that can give me something to do and build. But I might try and build that later on this evening while these files are copying and pasting over, so I can just tuck into that. Right, so it'll be a time lapse for you and a tidy for me. So I've made a small dent, and the second you add the minifigures, it looks very, very impressive. So I have merged, like I said I was going to, the Winnie the Pooh and those, and I think just having them just thrown in, they're not in proper. Hang on, let me try and get some balance before I fall through. I think you can see what I'm trying to do with the path and walking around, and then obviously you've got the evil one just there, and obviously now the Flintstones come out, we've got a little bit of space. So with regards to that space, like I said, we could have either a small ride there, or just have it as an open area to do whatever. I've got all of the dwarfs are there, so obviously all 6. Prince, Snow White, I just need to put their capes on, they're brand new. She will go into here, so she'll be fast asleep in there. And then when I start finding all the other minifigures, there's 2 more to come in here, they can all just stand on the front. I've just found Im, so he can go on the top there. So I think now these minifigures are starting to go in, I think that's going to look really, really nice. I just need the I've Had an Accident brown base plate, and I think that stud work would look really, really smart on there. Now, the next thing I think to do will be move this roller coaster. But it has got so cold up here, I am going to wait for a different day, which will be tomorrow or later on in the week, to do that. Which means I can now get these files off, copy and paste that, and then spend the rest of this evening editing this bit. And then the next bit will be tomorrow. So today is a new day and there are new ideas. We're about 48 hours on from where we left off, and I want to speak to you about 1 or 2 things before I actually put them into practice, maybe tomorrow. So this kind of stuff will happen tomorrow, but it'll be in a couple of minutes for you. Now the video went live, and in that video I mentioned about the new animated series Set, which I really, really like, and I've got my teeth sunk into that series nicely. And I'm trying to watch an episode or 2 a night. The villains are fantastic. It's just a very, very good thing. Now, I said, do I put that behind here? Do we do this? What do we do with it? As it stands right now, we have got a merge of a superhero land. That's basically what this is, which is basically a copy from Universal Orlando, which is, but over there it's more X-Men, and you've got Doctor Doom, and you've got all that kind of thing over there. And then they do have that ride over in Dubai. But if we wanted to make it a little bit more accurate, if we had like a Batman versus Superman scenario, but this time it was actually Gotham versus New York, Gotham would have to be in a different place, which would be an absolute nightmare. But it has been brought to my attention by Jay's Toy Collection UK that he thinks, and he's right, it would look quite nice if the new Gotham went up on the puke wall, and then underneath Gotham was every single set that I own on that picture. So as it stands right now, Joker, set number 1. As we know, that's set number 2. Gotham PD, set number 3. That is set number 4 in the corner. And the museum, which I've taken away, is set number 5. And we can have all of them side by side underneath the artwork. And then the Spidey would go up on that wall over the bridge. And then that would be basically a Spider-Man land within New York and that kind of thing. That is a fantastic idea, but it opens up a can of worms with what we do with this. Now, we've got the tables to play with at the moment, so that is not a problem whatsoever. The biggest thing to think of, and this is why I'm saying it now, because this will be uploaded well before the set gets purchased, is as this stands right now, that is 4 base plates and a bit long. We know it has massive, massive length. We know that. We know it's a thing. To get that underneath the puke wall with all of the other sets, it potentially would have to be closed, because what we'd have the Joker on the one side, the shadow box shut on the other side, and then we would have set number 1, set number 2, set number 3 in the middle. That is if we just stuck to the green Kallax. The other thing we do is we fully commit. Yes, fully commit to this, and we go table and the Kallax. So it's the whole back wall, and underneath the whole back wall, it is all Gotham underneath that, which then means we could get the Arkham Asylum we could get a different Batcave, we could get other different bits and pieces, and basically anything that is DC related. I know it's a bit of a weird one, mixing Superman and whatever with that, but it could potentially work quite nicely, because then we've got our New York, which is Marvel that end, DC that end, and it would work on a park map. From a park map perspective, and it all been color coded like you would get at a park gate, it all works perfectly fine. Moving all of this after it looks so good, is it worth it? And that's what I'm going to sleep on tonight, and it's not going to happen for weeks and weeks anyway. But if that happens, this has to go on one of the tables. We know what's going to be happening over here. The plan is still tidying up everything up at the top, but I just want to let you know what you guys and girls have been saying, and if you agree with it, and if you like the sound of that with regards to it being its own full land. If not, how can we merge that new set with this? Because it will not work, an animated series set up on that wall underneath all of this, even though it would look fantastic, because obviously it is Gotham skyline. And I do have a fair few of the sets. Now, there are stupid things that can be done. Another Daily Bugle at some point could be purchased, but it doesn't have the windows on, and it doesn't have Daily Bugle across the top. It's just a skyscraper like they have in that thing. And there's other little bits and pieces that we could do as well. And of course, they're going to have a different car, and obviously we've got all the other cars in there. We could just make it grimy and have it all DC over on that side. We've got our mutant section on here, which is a hybrid of bits and pieces. So we've got the Lego Movie 2 with the spaceship, and there's that kind of thing. Now, the nice thing is obviously the Joker itself is the ride. So that would be Gotham on the map, or DC on the map, or something. We can call it whatever. Because that is something that we will be doing polls for soon enough, with regards to what each section is going to be called, and then what colour on the map it's going to be. And then I'll start tiling it and paving the colour of that. So for example, we'll create this walkway, but instead of it, the middle section or the middle strip will be a completely different colour, and that will represent the colour on the map, so we know it's a theme park. So how we've done the roads, for example, that is all yellow and white, and that is what we could do as a footpath for different bits and pieces. So with that being said, with regards to do we create a full-blown Gotham, use the backdrop as basically the map, which is, it's a good call. So the backdrop is the map, and then we have all the sets in front of it. I like that, and I think it would be a really good way to display it. But I don't know if we can keep this open. If we keep this open, we have to go full width. We have to use the green and the white. Now, getting sidetracked already, but I'm rendering a video at the moment, so I'm looking at this. When this hits about 10 minutes of me waffling, I've got to bugger off and do some of the little bits and pieces, and I can come back up in here tomorrow. That could go in the corner here, and then we could just paint a backdrop on the back, or we could paint it yellow, or we could do it whatever we wanted to do. So it should fit, and then against the puke wall would actually be the minifigures and that kind of thing. So there's options there. Obviously it could be used as a tour, because that was the plan. That was always going to be the plan for that when we got like the queue line stuff to it. We could make it look very clean, and obviously it's then going to free up an enormous amount of space over here. So potentially we could just get more bits and pieces in. We could move some of the modulars over, keep it in that layout, but just move it over, and then maybe create enough space for Ninjago to go back up on the end. So there's different stuff that we can do. I'd rather keep it all Marvel heavy in here. And I am going to have the Transformers in, because a Bumblebee's coming. I am going to get Prime, so we're going to have Prime, Bumblebee and all the others sort of running around over these buildings fighting, because I think it would look fantastic theming. And there's also a Transformers land at Universal, so I want a representation of everywhere that I've gone to around the world and actually been on the rides and done that kind of thing. So with that being said, and that sort of little bit of a not so much of a bombshell, more of a very good idea. Yes, no, will it work? If it works, what do we do with all of that? Do we keep it all together? Do we split it up? Do we change it to a park and take the haunted house out and have a haunted house somewhere else? Because as it stands right now, it's at Rivendell, nice walkway into a haunted section. We've got both of those on the same bit. We could split it up. We could add different bits and pieces in. Let me know. Let me know what you think. So I now need to go and get a lot of work done, which is brilliant. So I've got to do some other social media stuff. And then I will be back up in here tomorrow. And we're going to start and carry on again messing around with this. Because the more I look at this, the more I actually really, really like it. And I do like the fan there. I know it's going to bug some people. But what I like is all of this. So I think we can add a lot of characters up on the grass. We can add some different bits and pieces into it. And what we could do, because obviously this is a seating area, we could have that as our cafe, like they've got at Universal. And on the other side could be the visitor centre. Or what we do is we have the gates opening against the back wall. And we actually push the gates further back. And we have a load of stuff in front of it which is smaller. So we lose an A-frame, which then could potentially work with that stuff again if we gave that more space. The treehouse can then move over to the other side. The gates go further back. So I will have a little bit of a mess around with this and see if the gates look better at the front or moved a little bit further back, because we know it's only a couple of vehicles that we need for that. That just needs a little bit of a quick tidy. That's all done. Then I'm going to skip the Star Wars table, go straight into the coaster, get all of that moved around and get that nailed in. And then I've got to really consider what I'm going to do with all of these Star Wars bits and pieces, because I might go and get some more boxes. So you might come on a road trip where I'm stacking these boxes. Mind, I have absolutely no idea. Put them, all those sets, because they're built in a box like that, put them in kind of storage. And then that will give me enough tables to move around. Calyx goes down. Star Wars stuff comes straight out and it goes on the Calyx to start with. Option. Now, of course, the other option is if we can get Gotham on a Calyx and I can get the table lit underneath, we could have Gotham underneath. But I don't think visually, you wouldn't see it on camera, so it wouldn't work as well. But that's your options. Right, I've got stuff to do and I'll catch back up with you tomorrow. So here we are again. Today is a new day and I am wearing the exact same stuff, but I have washed, so don't worry. So we were going to mess around with the Jurassic Park, but Lego have dropped another sale. Where this has come from, I don't know. So yesterday's video was all about the Super Mario. I thought we're going to have some time. Might be a new set coming this week. Nope, they have just put 6 pages of stuff in a massive Easter sale with half decent prices, up to 50% on some of the stuff, so it is quite surprising. So that is currently rendering ready for this evening, so I have got a bit of time to kill. So we are going to have a bit of a mess around with this. Now, what I do want to try and achieve is figure out exactly where this is actually going to end up with regards to the layout. Now, they had put some of the Jurassic Park sets in a sale, and especially the 4+ set. That was the one that went into the sale, the one of the bigger ones that went into the sale, actually, with regards to the price that's coming off. And then Prime also went into a sale as well. There's a lot there, so check that video out if you get time. But yes, I need to figure out exactly what I'm going to do with that. And I then need, for Thursday, I'm going to actually do a live stream with regards to what other sets are in a sale elsewhere, because Xavier has a huge sale, Smiths has a huge sale, there's lots of stuff going on. I didn't realise Easter would be a massive thing for Lego and toys in a huge sale, but it seems to be that is the case. So we've got better deals than we did on the Black Friday / Cyber Monday, so fingers crossed over in the UK this year we might have a good Easter sale, which again, never really thought of, but it is what it is. So I am going to spend a little bit of time messing around with this, and I need your advice with regards to where will the gates look better, because as I want to move something, I'll move the treehouse, push the gates back, maybe bring something slightly in front of it and just see what it will look like. Obviously it's impossible to do without all the other sets here, but because that does look nice where it is, and I can't move that back any further, I just want to have a little bit of a play with that. By the time I've messed around with that, then what we'll be able to do is tuck in into all of this. Worst case, I won't be able to do that tonight, but it will still be done in this video. Tried it, looked awful, move on. So that did not work whatsoever. So what we are going to do now is I'm going to put you through a time lapse. I'm going to go through all these minifigures, because I need to make some space where around this laptop where it's doing its bits and pieces, so I can put all the minifigures back where they need to go. So like I said, I want to get all the minifigures close to each other. I've got a random Deadpool jumping out of the gunship over there, and then I've got to figure out what I am going to be doing with the Star Wars stuff, because I haven't got a storage box yet. So what we might have to do is skip the Star Wars in this upload, move straight to what potentially is going to be a double table for our thrill seekers land as such, and then when we do the Kallax episode, which is going to be the next upload, which is going to be emotional, we'll include a road trip on that one, because the traffic this week is just going to be too chaotic to drive around anywhere whatsoever. So time lapse for you, lots of minifigures for me, and then we'll see exactly where we're at there. Right, a bit of progress has been made, and I am thinking, because I want to make a dent in the Star Wars stuff. Like I said, containers, whatever, however I'm going to do it. But if this Gotham becomes reality, do I put the Disney castle where the Joker Manor is, and we have it facing the tower, or have it facing forward, or doing something so we've got like a triangle of height? I don't know if there are any Disney superhero sets available, cartoon based, that we could use the Disney castle as an Easter egg for in the superhero section. So any of you have massive Disney knowledge, let me know. Because as it stands, we've got the Disney castle with the Star Wars, but the Star Wars can be separated, but I just don't know what to do with that. I don't know what to do with that. I'm still confused with where that is going to go if everything else gets moved. The only thing that makes logical sense is it goes on this table, because it's a standalone table. So if I can get all of that on that table, because this table's wider, we'll be able to go a little bit deeper. We can make a completely different size display, and the haunted house would go there, for example. I think we can get all of that on that table, and if we did that, then obviously the Star Wars stuff is going underneath on the Kallax. It's only because this is rendering at the moment, and I've just seen that new Falcon, which does look very, very impressive. So I just wonder if I can get away with having that, and then use the minifigures from the X-Wing and the other bits and pieces, and have the M1 just flying in the middle of the roof, because obviously it can just be, I don't know, an aerial battle display, or just something completely different away from the Star Wars section. So the ships are its own thing. We could have one or two other potential ships up at the top. But this walk-through attraction, which is what they've done at Legoland Windsor, has this included. And it has the 8080. It's not an 8080. ATST. No, that's not an ATST either. It's the walker. Whatever that walker is. I can't remember. I think it's an ATST. That walker. Yeah, so you can see I'm sort of just trying to think as I'm moving stuff when I do this Kallax. I think the Star Wars stuff would look really nice underneath there. A little bit of lighting, but that means this has to go somewhere else, and the gunship has to go somewhere else. That is the big problem, because that gunship is massive. So it's a good problem to have, but if it doesn't go there, we could figure out something else. So there's not long for this to go now, and I need to get my teeth sunk into this now for the next sort of hour or so. So I will have a think Now I'm going to catch up with you in a couple of days. We're going to get the rest of this neat and tidy, and then we'll start to wrap it up. Well, that escalated quickly, and what a complete waste of the last 2 weeks of my time has been. However, we are now ready to go for the next upload. We've not finished what we're going to do. What I had planned for this upload has now completely gone wrong. However, we are good to go now to get the Kallax in, which will be on the next one. So I can get all of these different bits and pieces, potentially just get them in that hole. You've seen me going there, getting all the bits and pieces out. I'd sort 1 or 2 bits out, and there's no point in me putting it all back to carry on to rip it all back out again. It is what it is. So we'll end the video here. No idea actually where we got to, as I'm now 6 or 7 days on from the last time I spoke to the camera. Like I said, life too quick, can't keep up with everything. But guys, that is it. I am done. So I do apologise, but if you can like this video and subscribe to the channel, that'd be absolutely fantastic. But as always, thank you very much for watching. You lot take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Ta-da.